Hi, and welcome to Old Women Who Write. First, I want to tell you a little bit about why this is called Old Women Who Write. The other day, I was talking to a male friend, and I was explaining this new website to him, and he said, would you consider changing that title to Older Women Who Write? And I said, actually, no, I really wouldn't begin to consider that. And that's because there's no shame in my game. I'm old. I'm not older. I'm not aging. I am old. And it's about time to stop thinking about that as a negative. So, old women who write, the whole purpose is to be proud of who we are, where we are, and to explore what there is in this age group, what there is at the age we are for us. What creative outlets do we have? I happen to pick writing because that's what I do. But I'm really aware that everything I'm saying would apply to any creative outlet. Whether it is, I don't know, creating a charity for something unusual, or whether it is painting or singing, whatever it is. So, welcome to Women Who Write. Welcome to Old Women Who Write. My guest today is Renee Fisher. I'm seeing all this weird stuff behind me. I don't know why it keeps showing up, but okay. But Renee, I have to say ahead of time, full disclaimer. Renee is a good friend, an old friend. We've known each other for 20 plus years. We, matter of fact, have written two books together along with a third friend. So we know each other well. And I'm saying that to say, should anything happen like during this interview where we just start laughing, it's because that's basically what we do. And
Right.
it probably means that whatever one of us said triggered a memory of some ridiculous situation we had ourselves in at some point. And so we're just going to start laughing. So that's just so you know that ahead of time. Okay. So let me introduce you to Renee. Her full name is Renee Fisher. She is 73 years old. She is a poet. She is a fiction writer. She is an essayist, and she's a blog humorist. She says she's written since childhood, but when I look at what she's done, I see that she didn't seriously begin writing till she was in her 40s, or begin expressing herself, let's say, till she was in her 40s. She has at least, let's see, three books published. She has had one, two, three, four books published. Um, and her most recent book that was published, I believe, was a book of essays from her blog, which is called, let me get it right, Renee, Boomer Humor. No, shoot, that's what you called it at the very beginning. No, it's called Life in the Boomer Lane. And so her most recent book in 2016, which I think is still available on Amazon, is a grouping of those essays. So, Renee, welcome. Welcome.
Thank you.
Are you embarrassed to be on Old Women Who Write?
No, I'm just concentrating on, I had to make a switch between I had it in my head that this was going to be like serious interview.
Oh,
And
okay.
then you said, forgive us if we start laughing. So I had to rearrange all the brain cells there. That's it. So I'm fine now.
Oh,
I don't have
good.
to be serious.
Good. Okay. Well, let me start you off with reading comes before writing. We know that. So, was there a point at which reading became really big for you, that you became a reader?
Shortly after birth, I would say. Yeah.
Really?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I've always had a real fascination with books. My family really had no money, so there were no vacations. There was no travel of any kind. We didn't own a car. We lived in the middle of a city, but within that, I mean, a city itself affords a lot.
Yeah.
But my world was very small,
Mhm.
aside from the fact that I lived in a city. And so books really were my pathway to the world. And it
Yeah.
started when I was very, very little. As soon as I realized there was something, words on paper,
Yeah.
that
There are
was it. I was hooked.
Yeah, there are similarities here. I have just real clear memories of what I got punished for most as a child is because I was reading under the sheets in my bed with a flashlight. I did not want to stop reading. That's what I
Right.
did. Yeah. Yeah. When did that translate to writing? And what was the first thing you remember writing, your creative writing?
Yeah, this is really, truly one of the embarrassments of my life. When I was in elementary school,
Hmm.
I became obsessed with poetry and writing poetry.
Yeah.
And the first poem I actually remember writing, which I wish somebody could give me a drug and I would forget this, but I remember it. I remember sitting on my living room couch sometime in elementary school and writing a poem called The Apple with Beautiful Eyes,
Okay. Okay.
which I thought was about the most profound thing
Yeah.
that anybody could create.
Yeah.
Thank goodness I don't have that anymore, but that's what I remember. It really didn't take me very long before I started writing. It wasn't just reading. I
Hmm.
wanted to write.
Hmm.
I felt the need to write. So they sort of went together.
Well, am I rem- not remembering? I don't remember your life. I only remember mine. Am I assuming something incorrect? I'm assuming that from the time, say, you were married and started having babies, you had three of them. From
Mhm.
then till in your mid 40s, when your babies were mostly up and out, you weren't
Mhm.
doing much writing.
No,
It's for the
no, I,
obvious reasons.
I wasn't doing much of anything except really, I was raising the kids, working full time,
Yeah, yeah,
and being involved in, the PTA. And I really was.
right, right.
And that sort of, that's interesting because if we can even set writing aside for a second, um, if I read a book that makes reference to world events
Hmm.
during those years,
Yeah,
I have no knowledge of it. It's
right,
like somebody put me on another planet.
right, right,
That's what it feels like. Like, why did I not know about that?
right. Listen, I
Right?
feel like I moved from the Kennedy assassination to like George Bush, or no,
Same thing.
not to George, maybe to Ronald Reagan.
Yeah,
A
no,
period of
same.
time where
I
I,
know.
yeah,
It's that same kind of feeling.
we were
Like,
consumed with being parents. Let's
yeah, that
seriously,
was it.
and working and working.
And working.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I know that you, however, because we've talked so much, I know that you were much more creative in your parenting than I was. I mean, I know you made Halloween costumes for your kids. You did all of that while I was
And then
modeling
wait,
them
but
at the.
then I forced them to wear them for the next 3 years.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right.
I mean, you have to add that,
Okay.
you know?
Okay. So
Yeah.
what happened when you were in your 40s that led you to try a novel?
Um, I didn't decide to try a novel. My marriage was falling apart, i.e., my world was falling apart at that point.
Yeah.
And writing a novel was like about the last thing that I was thinking of.
Mhm.
But um, I had gone on, my ex husband had a business trip to San Francisco. And I was sort of on my own during the day. He was at this conference and I was on my own. And the only thing I remember is somehow sitting at Fisherman's Wharf
Mhm.
with no thought in my mind other than that I was in San Francisco for the first time, thrilled at Fisherman's Wharf, right?
Mhm.
And this sort of little sentence came into my head that had, I thought, nothing to do with me. And I thought, whoa, I have to write that down. I had nothing to write. I had a pen. And I remember sitting there grabbing receipts
Mhm.
that had been stuffed into my purse.
Mhm.
Anything I could get my hands on, the back of my
Wow.
checkbook pages, anything that I could get my hands on. And all this stuff started coming out.
Oh my. Do you
Mhm.
do you remember that original sentence?
No, I have no idea. But you know, I came home with a bag filled with pieces of paper
Yeah.
with all this random writing on it.
You know, I think writing can come from a lot of places, including pain,
Hmm.
including sorrow, including trouble. It's not,
Right,
it doesn't always come from, oh, I want
right.
to write a book. It's a different place.
It was me trying to make sense out of my world,
Yeah,
which wasn't making much sense.
right. Now, was that the King of the Gypsies, your book?
You know, both of the books were autobiographical in some ways, but I'm thinking that that was unfinished business, the first one that I didn't
Okay, I
even
never read Unfinished
try to
Business.
publish. I didn't even try to
Mm,
publish
yeah,
it. I
yeah,
don't know where the manuscript is. This is when, before computers, you
yeah.
know, in fact, wrote the first novel on a typewriter.
Wow.
That I remember,
Yeah,
which was, I guess, better than receipts, the back of
right.
receipts, right?
Yeah,
Because
definitely.
it could have been that, like all stapled together,
Right.
but I did it on the typewriter. Yeah.
Gotcha.
And it was a huge, just like a catharsis, you know, just
Wow.
getting all this stuff out
Yes.
under the guise of it being somebody else's life.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, I remember reading King of the Gypsies. Um, you self-published King of the Gypsies, yes?
Right.
And it was on Amazon. And I read it. I can't honestly remember much about it. I remember I didn't like the name of the hero.
I
The
don't
wo-
remember the name of the hero.
well, the young woman was a young woman, and I didn't like her.
Oh, Layla.
That's it. Yeah, it was
I,
too.
I think it came
Right,
from that song Layla. I was always fascinated with the name Layla.
right, right, right.
So you had asked me in preparation for the interview, you had asked me what year that book was published.
Yeah.
You said, is it still on Amazon? And what year was it published? I thought, I don't know. I haven't thought about it for
Right.
like 30 years, whatever. Lo and behold, I went on Amazon and lo and behold, it is still there.
Oh, for goodness sakes.
And the publishing date is given as something like, you know, January 1st, 1668 or something like that.
Oh, okay.
And I thought, damn, I am older than I thought I was. You know, there it is right there. I've been writing since 1668.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, fascinating.
Wow. All right. Then we have another gap as I look at your history. You were writing fiction in your mid 40s. You when we came up, we three came up with the
Right,
idea of
right.
writing about women over 50, which is what our books were about, our two that we wrote about women over 50.
Yeah.
I think you were in your early 60s and I was in my
50s. I was in my 50s,
late
late 50s.
okay, late
Uh-huh.
50s. Okay. And oh, that's right. And so I was in my mid 60s somewhere.
Mm,
Okay. We were, I know you were the only one who truly could consider yourself a boomer. Right? We were,
right,
our friend Joyce and I were too old
right,
to be that.
right.
Okay. So I mean, I know I pushed you, but other than that, what motivated you to get involved in writing what turned out to be a book of essays? I call it memoir, but it wasn't really memoir. It was essays
Yeah.
about being over 50. What made you jump into that?
Because I knew you wouldn't leave us alone.
Oh,
You know, you were absolutely, absolutely
oh,
dogged about this.
oh,
You
I thought
would,
you meant in a sweet, comforting, supportive way.
oh
You meant
no,
in a nagging.
no, no, I meant that Gene in your face kind of thing, you know. It was when you had all those books lined up on the mantle.
Mhm.
And I took a look at the books that were out there,
About being over 50.
and I
Mhm.
was sort of like shocked at what I was looking at because not one of those books had anything to do with me.
Yeah,
I thought that's so weird
yeah,
because I don't generally read books like that. So I
right,
really didn't know what was out there. But
right.
whoa, what an eye opener that was.
Yeah, yeah. That was that writing, which was you were the most experienced writer by far in the group. I had done technical writing. Joyce had taught high school writing,
Mhm.
but you were by far the most. This was, I think, for all three of us, the most intense period. Um,
Yeah.
not of our lives. I mean, we have other intense things, but long term intense. I mean, almost
Hmm.
2 years we worked on this,
Hmm.
um, trying to get it right and have
Right.
it worthy of reading and have it such
Yeah.
that, it would inspire others. I mean,
Hmm.
I know just from knowing you and your life that the notion of what we were doing was really appealing to you too. It wasn't just me beating up on you, but that the notion of what we were
Right.
doing
Yeah.
was sort of inspiring, talking from our own lives.
Hmm.
Um, it it was the first time that I ever had an experience in writing. I think the term is narrative nonfiction. I don't know. I didn't make that up. I've heard it a lot, but I'm not sure what it
Hmm.
means. But and I had the most difficulty in showing, not telling.
Hmm.
Showing, not telling.
Hmm.
The most frequent criticism of my writing from the editor we got was, "Stop telling me, show me."
Hmm.
And that for me is a huge thing. It's still to this day. I'm still writing my memoirs, but I still have some difficulty. Matter of fact, I just bought a book called, where is it? There we go. Called The Emotion Thesaurus. The Emotion Thesaurus, a writer's guide to character expression. Wait till I see if I can. Oh, that doesn't work well. Here it is. The Emotion
Hmm.
Thesaurus. And it's fabulous. It goes through every emotion: fear, nervousness, joy, sorrow, and gives you, like a thesaurus,
Hmm.
words to use. And for someone like me, I mean, you don't have this difficulty. Um, you know, you're great with dialogue. You're great with description. In various ways in showing. So for me, this is a great help. Great help.
Hmm.
Okay, our books were written, self-published. We almost had publishers many times, real publishers, as I call them. Self-published well over 10 years ago now, I think. Yeah, I think so. So what have you been doing? Talk about what you've been doing since then in writing.
It really has been mostly my blog.
Yeah, well, describe your blog for people, what it is.
The blog, my intention when I started was to have a just a humorous take on life,
Mm-hmm.
to do a brain dump because there's a whole world up here all the time.
Is that sort of an Irma Bombeck approach? Remember her?
Yeah, like that.
Yeah.
There is just so much going on
Mhm.
that sometimes it can be like overwhelming how many thoughts are crowded in there.
Right.
So, yeah, so it's like a brain dump, all of the stupid things about life. But I wanted it to be specifically geared toward boomers, even though a lot of it really wasn't.
Mm.
I tend to get into some really ridiculous situations. I have this ability, like, and people go, no, that's not true. And I go, yeah, unfortunately, it's true. Right. So that was the original intention, life in the boomer lane. Because whenever I'd go to the supermarket and I'd be standing in line waiting, this before self checkout, they'd have all the magazines and stuff.
Yeah.
And I would just be reading like headlines on all the magazines. And
Right.
that's how I saw the blog.
Ah.
Instead of being in the checkout line, I was in the boomer lane.
Oh, I
All the
see.
stuff was
I
coming in,
see.
right?
Gotcha. Yep.
That was it. But along the way, I really, I started to get serious about some things. I thought, wow, this is more than me being funny. I have a platform. As the readership kept going up and up and up and up,
Right.
I thought, damn. So then I really started to interject some more serious topics. Now it's a real mix, you
Right,
know.
right.
Yeah.
It just in the middle. I don't want to stop talking about it, but tell people where they can find Life in the Boomer Lake.
Boomerlane.com.
That's it. That's easy.
That's it.
Okay, okay.
That is it.
Uh-huh. So, what are some of the? I noticed sort of how you do some of your, how you construct some of your blog posts. I never know what to call them. Blog posts is a phrase that didn't exist in my vocabulary.
I know. I know. Yeah.
Um, and I see very often you will take a topic from a headline, like a study was done saying,
Absolutely.
all 80-year-olds are dying or, whatever.
Exactly. Right.
And then you will examine that. But what I really like is that you seem to always sort of examine it in terms of your own life, in terms of how you have experienced the topic,
Mm-hmm.
of this.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, you always add humor, which
Mm-hmm.
you can't help doing. It's just
Mm-hmm.
normal. That's just who you are. But I really like the way that is. What are some of the ones that you've done more serious pieces on? Can you think of them at the moment?
Yeah. One of my favorite things to do is to take people who are now deceased, friends
Yeah.
or people I knew, and to pay homage to them
Um,
through, I mean, I think, ooh, I am so incredibly lucky. What a gift it is
yeah.
to be able to pay homage to somebody, so that other people can appreciate who they were.
Lovely.
That has been absolutely the best thing that I've been able to do.
I've seen several of those, and the
Mm-hmm.
wonderful part is that although it's somebody you knew and I didn't know, you do it in a way that draws me in
Mm-hmm.
to know who this person was and
Mm-hmm.
care who this person was.
The humanity
Hmm.
of
And
the
it's a
person.
real skill. A
Yeah,
real-
it's not about their achievements, it's
right.
about their humanity, no matter who they were. And that's what hopefully people respond to.
Yeah. I've seen
Yeah,
other interests of yours sneak in there too, like environmental issues. I know you've been
right,
an environmental activist, um,
right.
and I see that sneaking in,
You
to.
know, I can write about just about anything,
Mhm.
but for the last 4 years, no matter what I write about, has some kind of slur against Trump.
Yeah, right.
You know, I sort of
How can you
manage.
help it?
Sorry if there are any viewers out there who are Trump supporters. I don't care.
They won't be
Um,
watching this.
I really don't care. In fact, I've written a couple things where I say, if anybody has a problem with this, with what I'm about to say, write a letter, put a stamp on it, put it in an envelope, address it, put a stamp on it, and throw it in the trash. I don't care.
Right,
It's my blog.
right.
It's my blog. Although the truth is, I have had people challenge what I've written. In one case, in a rather violent way,
Mm,
really about as angry as somebody can get.
oh,
And I actually started a dialogue with this young woman,
mm,
and she ended up apologizing.
wow.
Yeah. But most of the time, if somebody just sort of like, rah, 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 like the world is prone to do now. Sorry, I pay the fee every year. It's my blog. Yeah.
I know that your most recent blog on vision, having
Mm-hmm.
a vision for your life, really
Mm-hmm.
hit people where they live. That's
Ooh,
sorry to use the
ooh,
right phrase, but it really
ooh.
did. I read a lot of the comments that you got on that, and
Uh-huh.
people. It's interesting because people were both longing for a vision for their life,
Mm-hmm.
or they were concerned that their vision was too small and not big enough. In other words, they didn't want to start an orphanage. They wanted to have a happy home, you know, and they were concerned, and you
Right.
soothed that concern in your
Right.
writing. And that was really very touching. It must touch you that people are reading and
I
being
am I am overwhelmed, and I had a phone call from
really,
somebody about what that has started in her.
yeah,
And I called her back and we had a whole conversation, and yeah, it touches me very deeply.
yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
One switch away. Oh, the time is flying. One switch away from writing before we go. I want to talk to you about painting. I'm
Mhm.
so jealous. I can't stand it. I can, I can't do anything with art, with creative art, nothing. So I have bought more art kits than anyone has a right to, and then sold them in yard sales after 5 years when I didn't use them. So I'm very envious, and I'm very impressed with what you're painting now. I know you
Thank
painted
you.
years ago, and now you've taken it up again.
Mhm.
Another wonderful thing about being in your 70s and
Mhm.
being creative.
Mhm.
Talk to me about what moved you to start painting, and are you liking
Um, I would give you exactly the same answer as my reading. I
it? Oh,
started drawing when I was very, very young. I mean, really young.
hmm,
My grandfather made me a cabinet that I could keep my clothes in. It was child size, and it was my pride and joy. And there was nothing more, because everything I had was hand-me-downs because we had
yeah,
absolutely no money. But that was made for me. It's the only thing I had that was made for me. So it was very precious.
yes.
And one day, and I was consumed with making the perspective of making a table. I didn't understand how to make a table so it looked like you were looking at it
You mean to
at
draw
a,
a table?
to draw a table.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was so consumed with this that I grabbed one of my crayons, opened up the door to this precious dresser, and drew tables all over the inside of it.
Wow.
That's what I was like,
Yeah.
because I had to do those tables then. I couldn't wait to get a piece of paper. I had to figure it out then.
Got it. Right.
And they were horrible. And I still remember what I drew. They were horrible. But I was always that way with drawing, always.
But now
Painting
it's
came later.
back like a steam engine. Now it's back like a hurricane.
Yeah, now it's back in a completely different way,
Yeah.
which I never, if anybody had ever told me, I would have said, no, that's not possible. That after 73 years,
Hmm.
it would suddenly become very different.
Right. Right.
And thank you, COVID. That's what
Yeah.
happened there.
Yeah.
It was a combination of COVID and Trump together,
Yeah.
sort of like the Black Plague squared.
Right.
And I felt like I had really completely lost control of my life. I was a victim
Right.
to what was happening.
Right.
And I grabbed a canvas,
Wow.
and it was like, damn it, for however long I'm going to be putting something on that canvas, I'm in charge.
Mm,
That canvas is my little world.
mm,
No COVID, no Trump,
got it. Got
it's
it.
mine. And I mean, that's what's been getting me through this whole thing.
Well, I think your paintings are wonderful. I love the.
Thank you.
I don't even know what to call it because I don't know anything about. I want to say the tonality of it. Is that a word? The I don't know how to describe it. One thing we're going to do is put some of your paintings up here on the website, so
Okay.
people can see them and with information about.
Uh-huh.
You're selling them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
So information about where people can get them or how to get in touch with you
sure.
about.
Sure. Because I've sort of run out of wall space.
Yeah, I hear
So
you.
it's great that people are actually buying them, because
Yeah,
they'd have to be on the ceiling at this point,
gotcha. Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Oh, good. Well, my dear, thank you. I can't thank you enough for being my guinea pig on my very first interview for this blog. I knew it would be
Thank
good.
you.
I knew I would be most comfortable with you, and it's all true.
Thank you. There are very few reasons now for me to wash my hair. And you gave me a reason today. So thank you for that.
One more.
Thank you. Yeah.
You are. Thank you again. Bye.